Chu Qing had always loved my elder sister. Yet he was forced to marry me instead. On our wedding night, he gazed at me, who bore a faint resemblance to his beloved, and said, "Had it not been for Rongin, I might have fallen for you." From that day onward, he never set foot in my courtyard again. Not until my elder sister, who had entered the palace, was poisoned to death by the imperial consort. He learned that she had been spotted by the emperor during an incognito tour while buying chestnut cakes for me, leading to her selection for the harem. He gripped my throat, his eyes brimming with undisguised loathing. "You should have been the one to die. How dare you still live?" In my death throes, I plunged a golden hairpin into his chest. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day I had begged my elder sister to buy me chestnut cakes. This time, I dressed in my finest and left the estate. And so, it was I who entered the palace. But Chu Qing regretted it once more. Just as I realized I'd been reborn, my elder sister Shin Rongyin called out to me. "Rongshi, Mother has sent me to the west of the city to buy some fabrics. Is there anything you'd like your elder sister to bring back for you?" Looking at my elder sister before me, her smile gentle and kind, I felt momentarily dazed. She was still alive. And so was I. How wonderful. In my previous life, my elder sister was headed to the cloth shop in the west. But I suddenly craved sweets and insisted she buy me the most famous chestnut cakes from the pastry shop in the south. My elder sister always spoiled me and agreed without hesitation. Little did we know she would catch the eye of the emperor, who was also visiting incognito, drawn by the shop's reputation. For an ordinary official's family, this was undoubtedly immense favor. Moreover, an imperial decree could not be defied. Thus, the person destined to marry the Marquis's heir apparent was no longer my elder sister, but me. All in Xinjiang knew that the Marquis's heir, Chu Qing, was a rare young man, handsome, talented in both the literary and martial arts. Yet, when I joyfully married him, I learned that Chu Qing had long been deeply in love with my elder sister. Compelled by familial pressure, he had no choice but to marry me. On our wedding night, gazing at me, who bore a faint resemblance to his elder sister, he said, "If not for Rongin, I might have come to love you." From that day onward, he never set foot in my courtyard again. What I never anticipated was that within half a year of entering the palace, my elder sister would win the emperor's deep favor, yet also draw the jealousy of the other consorts. At the imperial consort's birthday banquet, she demanded my elder sister perform a dance for the guests. Knowing her skill in the long-sleeve dance, upon the elevated platform, my elder sister, already unwell, danced again and again until exhaustion finally caused her to fall from the height. Upon learning of her death, I rushed back to the Shin residence. Along the way, I told Mother that if I hadn't insisted on eating that chestnut cake, my elder sister wouldn't have met the emperor, and she wouldn't have died. Unexpectedly, Chu Qing overheard these words. Upon returning home, he seized my throat with frenzied force, his eyes brimming with undisguised loathing. "You should have been the one to die. How dare you still live?" I struggled desperately, but the disparity in strength was overwhelming. At the brink of death, I mustered my last ounce of strength to pull the golden hairpin from my hair and thrust it into his chest. Now, I've returned to the very beginning. This time, let my elder sister live out her life in peace. Those grudges, I will settle them myself. Just like in my past life, I tugged at my elder sister's sleeve, acting spoiled. But the words I spoke were different. "Sister, please choose the finest fabric from the cloth shop to make me a dress." My elder sister pinched my cheek affectionately and agreed. After she left, I returned to my room, dressed up, and headed straight out of the mansion toward the pastry shop in the south of the city. In my past life, my elder sister had returned with Li Su. At that time, Father recognized him at a glance as the current emperor. Just as he was about to bow, Li Su stopped him with a single glance. Father held no high office and dared not presume to guess the emperor's intentions. So he served with utmost caution. Li Su stayed at our home for 3 days. And I crossed paths with him several times. Today, I waited for him at this very pastry shop. Unexpectedly, before Li Su arrived, Chu Qing showed up instead. Seeing my attire, he frowned and asked, "Why are you here? Shouldn't I be asking you that? I've loved their chestnut cakes since childhood, isn't it perfectly normal for me to be here?" Seeing Chu Qing was already strange enough, but his reaction left me utterly baffled. After hearing my explanation, he offered no clarification, only commanded, "Go home." I ignored him. Chu Qing seemed flustered, reaching out to grab me. I tried to dodge, but collided head-on with Li Su, who had just entered the shop. Our eyes met, and I didn't miss the fleeting look of astonishment in his gaze. My elder sister and I share a certain resemblance. She is graceful and gentle, while I am playful and spirited. 2 entirely different personalities. Yet Chu Qing once said that if my elder sister hadn't existed, he might have fallen for me. I've always found that notion laughable. I bear no small part in my elder sister's death. Yet Chu Qing's betrayal and attempt to kill me are undeniable truths. The day I seize power, I will make him taste the agony I endured in my past life. "How dare you!" A thunderous shout snapped me from my thoughts. The guard beside Li Su stared at me warily. Only then did I withdraw my gaze, lowering my head, my face flushing unnaturally. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." Li Su raised a hand, smiling faintly. "It's nothing." Then, shifting the topic abruptly, he asked, "Are you here to buy pastries too? Might you recommend some?" I was more than happy to oblige, immediately putting on a cheerful smile. "Then you've come to the right person. I doubt anyone in the entire capital knows more than I do." With that, I led him inside, deliberately bumping shoulders with Chu Qing, who stood frozen in place. In my past life, I'd fantasized about harmonizing with him like Qin and Se, sharing a lifetime of love. Now, however, he was nothing but an eyesore. When Li Su and I emerged, laughing and chatting, Chu Qing still hadn't left. But I couldn't be bothered with him. If I hadn't guessed wrong, he too had been reborn. So he must have come to prevent his elder sister from meeting Li Su, only to find me instead. Yet he'd always despised me, he should have left immediately. So why this now? Seeing Li Su and me preparing to share a carriage, he stepped forward and addressed Li Su. "Young master, I've been entrusted to escort the lady by your side, the second young miss of the Shin family, back to her residence." At this point, Chu Qing hadn't yet entered official service, so Li Su didn't recognize him. But Chu Qing knew who Li Su was. Still, he showed no intention of revealing it. Unexpectedly, Li Su replied, "We're heading to the Shin residence. You may choose to accompany us." Indeed, Li Su claimed he had come to Xinjiang for sightseeing and, tired of inns, asked if he could stay at my home for a few nights. In my previous life, he had used this very excuse. My elder sister, kind-hearted, had agreed. Yet she could never have imagined that this would ultimately ruin her life. Chu Qing shot me a complex look but said nothing more. As the sedan curtain fell, the carriage rolled forward slowly. Nearing the Shin residence, we spotted my elder sister pacing anxiously by the gate from afar, glancing up every so often. The moment she saw me step down from the carriage, she demanded, "Where have you been?" No sooner had she spoken than Li Su lifted the curtain and stepped out. At this sight, my elder sister's face instantly paled. My heart gave a start. She pulled me close, her tone tinged with reproach. "Why didn't you stay at the manor?" I blinked and replied, "Suddenly got a craving. Oh, and I met someone else with a sweet tooth today." Saying this, I pulled Li Su closer, introducing him as I did. This is my elder sister. She's betrothed to the young master of the Ho family, who returned with us. So Chu Qing came looking for me on her behalf. I deliberately made their relationship explicit, because I couldn't be sure if Li Su might take a fancy to my elder sister again. Seeing him merely glance at my elder sister before shifting his gaze away, my heart, which had been hanging in suspense, finally eased a little. Just as I was about to pull Li Su back toward the manor, my elder sister and Chu Qing spoke up simultaneously. He can't stay at the Shin residence. At that moment, I could almost certainly conclude that my elder sister had also reincarnated. Her vehement rejection of Li Su must stem from fear of repeating past mistakes. Right? Li Su looked at the two of them, utterly confused. It was then that I asked, why? Chu Qing's face darkened, yet he dared not show disrespect to Li Su. Since it's merely lodging, staying at my Chu residence would be equally suitable. I see the young master possesses exceptional eloquence. I happen to have some matters I'd like to consult you about. Li Su fixed his gaze on me for a moment before replying to Chu Qing, then we shall trouble the Prince of Chu. And so, Li Su followed Chu Qing back to the Marquis's residence. After they left, my elder sister took my hand and said, "Let's go home." My eyes suddenly stung with tears. In my past life, I hadn't seen my elder sister since she entered the palace. The next time I saw her was her mangled corpse. Her rank was low, and she had no children, so she must have been buried hastily. Only after father pleaded with Li Su did they bring her back. Now, whenever I close my eyes, I'm haunted by the memory of her tragic death in that past life, and the image of Chu Qing's fingers digging into my throat. A cold sweat broke out on my back, and I threw my arms around my elder sister. She seemed a bit surprised, but still patted my back gently. "Why are you acting like a child?" I whined. "Just hold me for a moment." Then, as if struck by a thought, I pulled away from her embrace and asked, "Sister, do you like Chu Qing?" She paused, then adopted a calm, detached expression. "There's no question of liking or not liking. A marriage arranged by our parents in the previous generation, how could it be easily changed? But why does Rongxi ask this?" I spoke with utmost sincerity. "I simply feel Chu Qing is unworthy of you. How can one know things can't change without trying?" What Rongxi meant was, why not take fate into our own hands? If we were to live another life only to be pushed along again, it would be like handing our destiny back to others. I refuse to sit idly by. I want power to make those who wronged us pay. Still, I'd never confess this to my elder sister. She'd inevitably realize my death was tied to her. Bearing this burden alone is agonizing enough. No need to drag her into it. But I truly dreaded her marriage to Chu Qing. My fears proved unnecessary. Early the next morning, I went to the Marquis's residence to find Li Su. Before I could even enter, Chu Qing intercepted me. His face darkened as he demanded, "Are you that impatient?" I froze for a long moment before grasping the implication behind his words. Before my elder sister, I might fear exposure, but Chu Qing was different. I scoffed, refusing to even meet his gaze. "If you know I'm this eager, then move aside." Chu Qing pointed at me in fury, snapping, "You have no shame." I shot back just as bluntly, "Right. You know shame. Then why were you grabbing and pulling at the sister of your unmarried wife?" "Oh, wait, I suppose I was your wife once too. The wife you wanted dead." Hearing this, Chu Qing's clenched fists relaxed and tightened again before he finally sighed. When he spoke again, his earlier confidence had vanished. I didn't truly intend to kill you back then." His words only amused me. Did he think I had 9 lives like a cat? My heart was filled with nothing but endless sarcasm. I composed myself, smiled, and said, "Is that so? But I truly did want to kill you." Chu Qing abruptly lifted his gaze to meet mine. His teeth clenched as he spat. "Shin Rongshi." I ignored him. For Li Su had emerged. Today, he wore a dark patterned robe trimmed with gold thread, paired with an exquisite jade crown, accentuating his noble bearing. Compared to Chu Qing, he was even more impressive. A perfectly measured smile touched my lips. "We agreed I'd take you to the Drunken Immortal Pavilion for the Manchu Han Imperial Feast today." Li Su raised an eyebrow at me. "Then I'll gladly accept your invitation." I added without missing a beat, "But you're treating." "No problem." Li Su agreed readily. Over the next few days, I led him on a culinary quest through the city. Some treasures were hidden in back alleys. Yet he fearlessly sampled everything, undeterred by potential danger. Just as in my past life, the day after returning to the palace, he sent envoys to the Shin residence with an imperial decree. Only then did my elder sister learn I'd spent these days with Li Su, instantly boiling with fury and resentment. "Didn't you say you'd been practicing embroidery at the embroidery workshop these past days? Have you even learned to deceive your elder sister?" I nervously bit my lip, unable to argue back. My elder sister had thought that by not letting Li Su stay at the Shin residence, everything would be fine. Little did she know that in my past life, I too had died shortly after her demise. She never imagined I would be reborn, nor that I would deliberately provoke that Li Su. "No, you cannot enter the palace," my elder sister declared with unwavering resolve. When Mother asked for an explanation, my sister couldn't articulate it, only clutching my hand tightly, refusing to let go. But now the reality was stark. Refusing to enter the palace meant defying an imperial decree, and our entire family would face death. I clasped my elder sister's hand and said, "Don't worry, sister. Rongshi has never been one to take a loss lying down. I'm the kind who always gets revenge. I promise you, sister, I'll take good care of myself in the palace. You needn't fret too much." My elder sister looked at me, her eyes brimming with reluctance. Yet she still offered her final admonition. I'd heard the imperial consort had a terrible temper, often throwing tantrums at the emperor. But as the ruler of the realm, even if he loved her deeply, he couldn't lower himself to appease her. Instead, he deliberately favored other beauties to provoke her. This way, the imperial consort would be the first to back down. Yet it was those favored beauties who ultimately suffered. So this was what my elder sister had endured in her past life. Still uneasy, she added, "Once you enter the palace, never offend the imperial consort. Keep a low profile whenever possible. Staying alive matters more than anything." I nodded and climbed into the carriage bound for the palace under my family's watchful eyes. I didn't miss the figure lingering by the roadside. Chu Qing had caught up after all. He handed some silver to the palace attendants, and the carriage pulled over to the side. I lifted the curtain and looked at Chu Qing. "Speak quickly. I won't step down. A woman's reputation is paramount, especially one about to serve the emperor." "Did you do this on purpose?" Chu Qing asked with unwavering certainty. "What?" I truly wasn't pretending. I genuinely didn't know what he intended. In my past life, it was indeed my elder sister who was betrothed to him. But by marrying me, he tacitly accepted this union, even if he harbored feelings for my sister and never visited my quarters. I could understand that. But he knew perfectly well that my elder sister's entry into the palace wasn't my doing, and her death was certainly not something I wished to see. Yet Chu Qing blamed everything on me. He claimed he never truly intended to kill me, but I died nonetheless. He constantly professed his love for my elder sister. Yet after reincarnating, he's been pursuing me relentlessly. Perhaps even he can't fathom his own heart. Chu Qing stared straight into my eyes and said, "That day you rode in the same carriage with Li Su, Yet you never mentioned a woman's reputation. I was wrong to neglect you before. But you shouldn't have put yourself in danger just to get back at me. So what? You chased me down just to say this? You knew there was no turning back. Yet you still came. You're just feeling guilty. Trying to ease your conscience. Or perhaps you suddenly realized the one you truly love is me? Hearing this, Chu Qing's eyes widened in shock. He stumbled back several steps, creating distance between us. His face flushed red then drained pale, a truly dramatic sight. Don't be ridiculous, he snapped. Yet his tone held no trace of blame. My gaze grew cold. A new plan formed in my mind. I weighed my words carefully. If you truly wish to do something, then join the court and aid me. I spoke without looking at him, almost as if it were an offhand remark. Chu Qing, however, asked with utmost seriousness, what do you intend to do? To avenge my elder sister? Of course. Don't you want that too? I tossed the question back at him. Chu Qing seemed to ponder something before asking. If I hadn't said you should have been the one to die, would you still choose to enter the palace? Probably not. With that, I lowered the carriage curtain. I'd said it deliberately, aiming to make him feel guilty. The journey to the palace didn't go smoothly. Just as I entered the inner palace, someone stopped me. It was none other than Consort Suyu. She stood there haughtily, looking down her nose at me. Does every Tom, Dick, and Harry think they can enter the palace now? I curtsied properly before replying, Your Highness jests. Even if I were a cat or a dog, I'm here by the Emperor's direct command. The implication was clear, she had no right to interfere. Suyu shot me a cold glance and demanded, What is your name? Your Highness. I am Shinrongshi. Look up. Just as I began to comply, my peripheral vision caught a hand lashing out toward me. Without hesitation, I dropped to the floor the instant the palm neared my face, clutching my cheek in a posture that seemed on the verge of tears. Why did your highness have me struck? The senior palace maid beside Suyu looked at me, hesitating to speak. But Suyu had no time for such niceties. From the moment she saw my face, rage had clouded her mind. She shouted, Li Su, you just wait. Then she stormed off. I was led to a palace hall that was reasonably elegant. My elder sister, fearing I might be unsettled, assigned the most resourceful maid from the estate to me. Jian Yue. Tidy things up first. It was now clear that Li Su held deep affection for Suyu. Otherwise, how could a mere imperial consort act with such arrogance? And I was likely being used as a pawn to provoke her. This situation was decidedly unfavorable for me. I must find a way to deepen Li Su's impression of me, ideally. Gain leverage over him in some aspect. Jian Yue quickly tidied the bedchamber. Lying on the bed, I tossed and turned, lost in thought. Just then, Jian Yue rushed in and reported. Second young miss. Word is spreading throughout the palace that the imperial consort caused a major scene in the emperor's Qinghe hall this morning, humiliating him before everyone. The emperor, furious, took his anger out on his servants. Several have already been beaten with rods, and now everyone is scared to death. I thought for a moment, then sat up immediately and said, Jian Yue, prepare some sweets. Without asking any questions, Jian Yue immediately went downstairs to prepare them. About half an hour later, Li Su indeed arrived at my Luyun hall. As soon as he entered, he sniffed the air and asked, What's that scent? Guess. I presented a dish of snowflake pudding, rich with milk fragrance and studded with dried fruit. Before him, would your majesty care to try some? I'd heard sweets could lift one's spirits. As emperor, Li Su held supreme power. When troubled, he naturally sought an outlet. Countless women in the harem were ready to soothe him whenever he desired. remembering my elder sister's words. I prepared in advance, and Li Su actually came. He took the snowflake pudding from my hands, scooped a spoonful, and placed it in his mouth. I couldn't help but ask, "How is it?" "Sweet." "Does that mean your majesty is in a better mood?" Li Su lowered his gaze to me, his eyes swirling with emotions I couldn't decipher. He set down the jade dish, then in an instant swept me up in his arms, carrying me straight inside. I'd imagined this scene countless times, yet my heart still raced with nervousness. Li Su laid me on the bed, about to lean in, when a eunuch's report suddenly echoed from the doorway. "Your Majesty. Word from Qingfang Hall, the noble consort has fainted." Li Su didn't move, only snorted coldly. "Tell her to come up with a better excuse next time." With that, he leaned in to kiss me. I turned my head slightly, evading his touch. "Perhaps your Majesty should go see her. If something were to happen to the noble consort, Rongxi couldn't bear the responsibility." Li Su shot me a slightly displeased look. "What business is this of yours? How could it not concern me? Rongxi holds a lower rank. If the imperial consort learns I was this intimate with your Majesty while she was ill, she'll certainly be displeased. When has she ever been pleased? Since I ascended the throne, she's caused trouble daily. Were it not for past ties, I wouldn't bother with her." In just a few sentences, it was clear Li Su indulged Suyu greatly. Of course. Otherwise, why would he stand by and watch her torment his legitimate sister without intervening? But he was still an emperor. If Suyu continued this way, she would inevitably burn herself. Li Su ultimately didn't pursue the matter further. To ease the awkwardness, I suddenly suggested, "Your Majesty, let me prepare a beggar's chicken for you." "What is beggar's chicken?" So I led him to the imperial kitchen. The staff, seeing the emperor arrive, dared not speak out of turn, letting me take charge. After bustling about for quite some time, I finally prepared 2 fragrant beggar's chickens. Li Su's appetite was whetted by the aroma. I promptly broke off a drumstick for him. "Your Majesty, please try it." After tasting it, Li Su nodded repeatedly. Truthfully, it wasn't that my beggar's chicken was particularly delicious, it was simply that a hungry person finds everything tasty. I know this feeling all too well. Just as we were sated and preparing to leave the imperial kitchen, Suyu arrived, supported by palace maids. Her face was deathly pale, tears glistening at the corners of her eyes, though her lips remained stubbornly pressed together. Seeing this, Li Su remarked coldly, "Roaming about so late at night. Seems your health isn't so bad after all." At his words, Suyu's chest heaved violently, and she finally coughed up a mouthful of fresh blood. Panic visibly spread across Li Su's face. Forgetting their earlier conflict, he rushed forward and caught her in his arms. "Physician! Quickly summon the physician," Li Su cried urgently. But I stared at the bloodstains Suyu had left on the ground. To verify my suspicion, I dabbed some of it with my handkerchief and brought it to my nose. Sure enough, it smelled like blood peach. My voice was neither loud nor soft, just loud enough for everyone to hear. Li Su stared at Suyu in disbelief, his gaze gradually turning cold. He demanded, "Do you think I'm so easily fooled?" Suyu knew she was in the wrong, yet refused to yield. "Why did you neglect me for them? It's bad enough you sought them within the palace, but you had to look outside as well. What about your promise to favor only me?" Li Su released her, rising slowly. "I am the son of heaven." With that, he swept his sleeves and departed. Seeing the situation turn sour, I prepared to slip away. But Suyu called out to me just then. "Shin Rongxi, is it?" Very well. The feud was now set in stone. Still, Suyu likely had no time to deal with me now. Last night, After leaving the imperial kitchen, Li Su went to Consort Su. He favored her all night, and by morning, she was elevated to noble consort. Yet within half a month, Lady Su's body was discovered floating in the Tay pool. Upon hearing this news, I broke out in a cold sweat. Seeing the moon, I couldn't help but feel deeply troubled. Everyone in the palace said the imperial consort was the first woman by the emperor's side, and his treatment of her was always different. Over the years, many consorts have sought to climb higher, but none have fared well. Second young miss, do you think we can succeed? Why not? Even with his extraordinary favor, he never made her empress. I suspect that's precisely why Su is making such a fuss. But her Su family is merely merchants. In this era that values agriculture over commerce, Consort Su has already reached the pinnacle. Just then, news reached me that Chu Qing had entered the imperial court as an official. With his father being a marquis, securing an official post was indeed a simple matter. I intended to meet him on the path where officials passed after court. I first exchanged pleasantries with father. After learning all was well at home, I lifted my gaze toward Chu Qing, who stood not far away. Seeing this, father excused himself and left first. After some time apart, Chu Qing seemed thinner. Before I could speak, he handed me a round box. I didn't take it. Asking, "What is it?" he replied, "Chestnut cake." Seeing my hesitation, he added, "You said you liked it. No other meaning. Also, I heard about Lady Su. You should be careful." I lowered my head, accepting the pastry while asking, "Will you marry my elder sister?" Unexpectedly, Chu Qing countered, "Do you wish me to?" I snapped my gaze up. "Chu Qing, do you know what you're saying? Then what did you mean by asking?" I took a deep breath, deciding against concealment, because I need the support of the Marquis's household. "So, you want me to marry her?" "No. I want this betrothal to remain, but I don't want you to marry my sister. A fickle man like that is unworthy of my gentle, composed elder sister." Chu Qing seemed to understand. "Shin Rongshi, you want to use me? Do you want to see me meet the same fate as Consort Su?" "No." Chu Qing shook his head, a flash of pain crossing his eyes. "You chose to enter the court early to serve as an official. That decision was already made, wasn't it?" I finished speaking and walked away without looking back. Having lived 2 lifetimes, I've come to understand something. People often chase after things they can't have, yet they refuse to cherish what lies within easy reach. Upon returning to the floating cloud hall, I found Li Su waiting for me. Noticing the round box in my arms, he inquired, "What is it?" "Chestnut cakes." "Where did you get them?" "My elder sister had Chu Qing deliver them." At this, Li Su's brow furrowed slightly. I pretended not to notice, opened the box, and took out a piece of pastry. "Care to try some?" Li Su didn't take it, so I popped it into my own mouth and took a bite. Li Su's expression darkened slightly. "You." His words were cut off as I stuffed another piece into my mouth. "Your Majesty, I thought you might be wary of poison, so I tasted it first for you." Only then did Li Su eat the chestnut cake with apparent satisfaction. Truthfully, setting aside our status, Li Su and I shared similar interests. He seemed to have the same thought, saying, "I shall appoint you as Consort 1. From now on, when you have nothing to do, bring me some food." Without hesitation, I knelt to express my gratitude. "You must understand, even after my father served as an official for so long, he only rose to the rank of 5th grade. Yet Li Su could decide everything with a single word." The ambition buried deep within my heart began to grow boundlessly. News of my appointment as one swiftly spread throughout the entire harem. That day, I had just prepared some candied hawthorn for Li Su. Before I even reached Qinghe Hall, Su Yu intercepted me. She demanded arrogantly, "Hand over the food." Almost instinctively, I suspected she intended to frame me. The food was my creation. If the emperor consumed it and something went wrong, I would be finished. Seeing my unflinching stance, Su Yu ordered her maidservants to seize them. I took a few steps back and retorted, "Does your highness truly love his majesty?" Caught off guard, Su Yu snapped, "What do you mean?" I replied calmly yet firmly, "If the noble consort truly cherished his majesty, why not prepare the treats herself? Why must she seize them from a concubine? As your highness surely knows, though his majesty rules the empire, he has a rather sweet tooth. Having served him for years, you've never once prepared food for him. What truly matters to you, only you can answer that." I suppose? I implied she cared nothing for Li Su, coveting only the empress's throne. Su Yu flew into a rage, lunging to grab my hair. "You wretched little thing! How dare you presume to speculate about this palace's affairs? I'll beat you to death today." I shielded the food in my hands, letting Su Yu rage. Stinging pain shot through my scalp and face, but I gritted my teeth and endured it. Soon, however, her wrists were seized. "If you continue this nonsense, don't blame me for showing you no mercy." The one who arrived was none other than Li Su. Jian Yu and I exchanged a glance behind him. The moment I spotted Su Yu approaching from afar, I had Jian Yu rush ahead to inform the emperor. I just didn't know how much of my earlier words Li Su had heard. Seeing Li Su shield me, Su Yu trembled with fury. "Li Su, you'll regret this." Throughout the entire palace, she was likely the only one who dared address Li Su by his given name. Rumor had it they had known each other since Li Su was still a prince. Li Su doted on her, never taking any other consorts for her sake. But times had changed. A prince could favor one woman alone, but an emperor could not. The relationships in the imperial court were intricate and complex. Even Li Su's every word and action required careful consideration. How could he possibly let a woman lead him by the nose? All I need to do is provoke her relentlessly, as long as I can protect myself. After Su Yu left, I casually smoothed my disheveled hair, feigning nonchalance, then handed Li Su the food box I held. "The candied hawthorn I promised you yesterday." Li Su didn't take it, merely staring at me intently. His eyes held a hint of mutual understanding. We just stood there, gazing at each other. I wondered if this moment stirred something within him. One was the person he once loved most, now utterly repulsive. The other, well, someone who understood him a little. But he was an emperor after all. The scales in his heart would inevitably tip toward the side that benefited him most. After a long while, Li Su took a string of candied hawthorn berries from the food box and held it to my lips. "You once said eating sweets brings happiness." Forgetting how disheveled I looked, I opened my mouth wide and took a bite. Sweet with a hint of tart. "Then let me try." Li Su took a bite from the same string I'd eaten. The sourness made his face scrunch up. I tried to laugh, but the movement tugged at my facial wounds, sending a sharp pain through my teeth. Li Su summoned the imperial physician, who prescribed some medicine for me. By the time we returned to the floating cloud hall, evening had fallen. I had just settled down when Jian Yu burst in, her face aglow with excitement. "Second young miss. Good news." My spirits lifted at the sound of it. "Tell me." Recently, the Huai River area has been hit by relentless downpours. The emperor was at his wits' end. Prince Chu and father volunteered to go and manage the floodwaters. Unexpectedly, not only was the evacuation timely, but they also successfully prevented the floodwaters from entering the villages, averting a natural disaster and human tragedy. The emperor is about to bestow rewards upon them. Father hasn't been promoted in years. This time, it should be a sure thing. This was indeed good news. Even if Suyu and I clash again, I'll have more leverage now. With father's new merit, Li Su finally intends to have me attend him. As I was carried into Qinghe Hall, I happened to meet Chu Qing emerging from within. The moment he saw me, he froze as if struck by lightning. I, however, regarded him with an expression of calm detachment. Only when a servant whispered a reminder did Chu Qing awkwardly avert his gaze. I couldn't help but sneer coldly. What was the point of putting on this act now? Soon after, I was carried into Li Su's private chambers. Lying on the bed, I waited in utter boredom. By the time Li Su entered, I was nearly asleep. What followed unfolded as naturally as water flowing downhill. Li Su wasn't a particularly crude man, yet I still felt deeply uncomfortable. After returning to the floating cloud hall, I was just about to bathe when Jianyu informed me that Suyu was leading a group of people toward this direction. Had she learned of my night with the emperor and could no longer contain herself? I casually threw a cloak over my shoulders and told Jianyu. Prepare to meet the enemy. At the entrance to the floating cloud hall, the two groups stood locked in a tense standoff. Swords drawn. Suyu's gaze upon me was like poison. Before she could speak, I struck first. Surely your Imperial Highness doesn't intend to silence me by killing me? Then I abruptly changed the subject. But am I truly your enemy? If you kill me today, other beauties will enter the palace tomorrow. If I recall correctly, the Chancellor's daughter is about to come of age. She will surely enter the palace in the future. Does your Imperial Highness truly intend to slaughter every concubine in the harem? If His Majesty remains childless, your Highness will face punishment too. A flicker of hesitation crossed Suyu's face before she replied with bitter resignation. You could never understand. He swore he'd love only me for life. But everything changed after he ascended the throne. He began to despise my family's lack of prestige, resented my failure to bear him an heir all these years. But did I not yearn for it? To conceive for him? I swallowed every bitter medicine. Yet in the end, he still accused me of being willful and capricious, despite his own words that he adored my passionate, unapologetic nature. Every person, regardless of their form, possesses their own unique charm. But no matter what, harming others is wrong. She suffers pain and sorrow, while others pay with their lives. I watched her near collapse with unreadable expression and said, but he is now the emperor, no longer the prince who could indulge your every whim. Suyu was drawn in by my words, murmuring, yes, it's all because of this throne. Hearing this, my heart skipped a beat. I promptly cautioned, Your Imperial Highness, please be mindful of your words. The emperor has many unavoidable constraints. Suyu shot me a slightly disdainful look and snorted coldly. Let you gloat for a few more days. I sighed softly. With which eye had she seen me gloating? I finally understood. Suyu had survived so long in the imperial harem solely because Li Su favored her. Recently, torrential rains along the Huai River caused severe flooding. Though the situation was resolved, droughts then struck the southwest region, plunging the people into misery. Li Su planned to visit Chuanfu Temple to pray for the people's welfare, setting the date for 3 days hence. What I hadn't anticipated was that Li Su would invite me to accompany him. After our last night together, he had elevated me to the rank of imperial consort, a title I didn't quite deserve. Yet with the empress's position vacant, no one dared question it. However, Jianyu had overheard the plans. Originally, Li Su intended to send Suyu, but she claimed illness and declined to go. Thus, the task fell to me. By all logic, Suyu would never pass up such a golden opportunity. Could she have other plans? But I soon discovered the truth. On the day of the prayer ceremony, I was surprised to find Chu Qing among the entourage. After accompanying Li Su and paying respects to the deities, I retired to the rear courtyard to rest. Yet Li Su vanished at that very moment. The guards on duty panicked the instant they received the news. The emperor's procession demanded utmost vigilance. With ample escorts, the entire Chanfu temple had been cordoned off long before. It was no exaggeration to say even a mosquito could scarcely slip through. So who could have so easily taken Li Su away? With the emperor in peril, the officials accompanying him today were naturally implicated. It was then that Chu Qing found me. Before he even spoke, I knew what he wanted to ask. So I voiced my suspicion. I suspect the imperial consort is behind this. Chu Qing was puzzled. Why do you say that? Think about it. With such a massive escort for the emperor's outing, who would risk their life to kidnap him unless someone had infiltrated the procession from the start? What was the imperial consort's motive? That would require questioning Su herself. What exactly was she trying to achieve? Upon hearing my words, Chu Qing immediately ordered the search area expanded. Within half an hour, they found the unconscious Li Su on the back mountain, along with Su dressed in eunuch attire. Fortunately, the imperial physician was present today, and Li Su regained consciousness swiftly. Yet his rage was palpable. His piercing gaze fixed on Suyu as he demanded, "What exactly were you trying to do?" Suyu glanced around at those present, seemingly unaware of the gravity of the situation. Clenching her teeth, she voiced her true thoughts. I only wanted you to belong to me alone." The elderly ministers who had accompanied them all bristled at this. Nonsense. Utter nonsense. Had His Majesty met with any misfortune today, the empire would have descended into chaos. The imperial consort's actions today are nothing short of contempt for imperial authority. Lawless and reckless. Openly holding the emperor hostage and drugging him, her crimes deserve execution. Indeed, such a person must not remain by His Majesty's side. Only then did Suyu begin to show fear. I never meant to harm His Majesty. I only. Her gaze suddenly shifted to me. It was her. Consort Shin instigated me to do this. It was her. Now, all eyes turned to me. Yet I remained utterly unflustered. Meeting Suyu's stare directly. Your Majesty. The imperial consort has always disliked this humble servant. But she cannot simply slander me. As one of the emperor's consorts, I naturally wish him well. What benefit would I gain from urging you to abduct the emperor? Suyu's arrogance and tyranny are known to all in the palace. Her repeated harassment of me is something everyone has witnessed. Moreover, I frequently accompany Li Su, personally preparing countless delicacies for him, something everyone has seen. Naturally, no one would believe Suyu's words. Even as I spoke these words, several elder ministers nodded in agreement. It wasn't that I spoke particularly well, but compared to Suyu, everyone preferred a woman who knew her place and when to step back by the emperor's side. Under the pressure from the ministers, Li Su ultimately couldn't bring himself to execute Suyu. He merely banished her to the cold palace. Yet no one could have foreseen that Suyu would take her own life within the cold palace. That very night, Li Su was lodging in my Luoyuan hall. Upon hearing the news, he rushed to the cold palace without even putting on his clothes. When I arrived, I saw Li Su holding Suyu, his expression numb. I walked over, draped a cloak over Li Su, and said, "Your Majesty, please compose yourself." Li Su didn't look at me, only ordered, "You may leave first." Truthfully, I hadn't wished to come either, but to make no appearance at all would have been unthinkable. Su truly lived her entire life on her own terms, unwilling to accept defeat. She chose this way to end it all, yet she could never have known that the very thing she cherished most held no value in my eyes. After her death, Li Su fell ill for many days. She had once been the apple of his eye. I stayed by his side every day, watching him consumed by longing, regret, and helplessness. During this time, I handled numerous state affairs on his behalf. Li Su grew increasingly reliant on me. Before we knew it, spring of the following year arrived, the very season my eldest sister chose to elope. Father sought me out, his brow heavy with worry. Ronin has always been obedient and sensible. I, your father, could never have imagined her doing something so unorthodox. I, however, breathed a sigh of relief. The heavy weight in my heart could finally be lifted. This isn't unorthodox, it's a blessing. Father looked at me, somewhat bewildered. What do you mean? Is Chu Qing not worthy of your sister? I nodded. In a way, he truly isn't worthy. Father sighed. Since you say so, let her go. But we must give the Chu family some explanation. I'll speak with Chu Qing myself. With my current standing, the Chu family will have to show some respect. But before I could reach Chu Qing, a wave of dizziness swept over me. I felt myself about to collapse. And Jian Yu immediately caught me. Is the second young miss feeling unwell? I closed my eyes and took several deep breaths before feeling slightly better. Perhaps we should return first. Has Chu Qing grown too powerful in his official post that he started putting on airs? Having heard of the eldest sister's elopement, Jian Yu naturally assumed Chu Qing had wronged her, causing her impression of him to sour. I shook my head, about to speak, when I saw Chu Qing approaching. Perhaps noticing my pallor, concern flickered in his eyes. What's wrong? I replied nonchalantly. Nothing. Probably just overworked lately. He pressed further. Did you come for Shinronin? I nodded. I want you to break off your engagement to my elder sister. Chu Qing looked at me, his eyes clouding with reluctance. Shinrongshi, are you just using me and then kicking me aside? What else could I do? Do you want to waste my sister's life any longer? Chu Qing opened his mouth but couldn't utter a word. After a long silence, he finally conceded. Rest assured, the Chu and Shin families will never intermarry again. I thought I was ill, but it turned out I was pregnant. Upon hearing the news, Li Su was genuinely pleased. All these years, because of Su Yu, Li Su had remained childless. This was what the imperial family valued most. Su Yu's death was his pain, yet it was also a kind of release. From then on, gifts poured into the cloud-drifting palace. I was elevated from imperial consort to imperial consort Shi. Even with my pregnancy, I still prepared delicious meals for Li Su every few days. 5 years slipped by in the blink of an eye. My son and daughter had begun learning to write and read. But Li Su's health continued to decline. On the anniversary of Su Yu's death each year, he would retreat to the coal palace for the night, then drink himself into a stupor. I never inquired about this, nor did I question it. I simply fulfilled my duties. As for Li Su, aside from me, he rarely favored any other consort. The previous year, the chancellor had intended to send his daughter into the palace. But upon seeing Li Su's declining health, he quickly abandoned the idea. That winter, as Li Su lay on his deathbed, he summoned me and our child to his side. His voice was a faint whisper. Rongshi, these past years, I have witnessed everything you have done. I am deeply moved. Yet I also feel a debt of guilt toward you. We met too late. Since I cannot give you my heart, I shall pass the throne to our child instead. I clutched his hand tightly, as if afraid he might slip away. Yet inside, I was overjoyed. Compared to true affection, I still preferred power and influence. Had I not fed him incompatible foods for so long, perhaps he wouldn't have departed so soon. With tears in my eyes, I spoke with utmost sincerity, Your Majesty. Rongshi understands everything. Li Su smiled faintly, the path ahead. You must walk alone. With those words, his last breath left him. I wept bitterly, clutching our 2 children. Witnessing this scene, every minister was deeply moved. After burying Li Su, following his final decree, the ministers enthroned the young emperor. I became the empress dowager ruling from behind the curtain, while Chu Qing was appointed regent prince. Though guided by my counsel, he ascended step by step through his own efforts. Yet if anyone else occupied this throne, I might not feel secure. With the young emperor too tender for state affairs, all governance fell to Chu Qing and me. At nightfall, eunuchs carried the sleeping child away, leaving only Chu Qing and me in the hall. I stretched lazily. These memorials never seemed to end. I murmured. Chu Qing lifted his head and smiled at me. If you're tired, go rest. Leave the rest to me. I nodded, tossed my brush aside, and leaned against the desk. Little did I know that leaning against it would send me straight to sleep. I have no idea how much time passed before I felt myself being lifted. My eyes snapped open in alarm. To my surprise, the person holding me was Chu Qing. I immediately snapped, "Put me down this instant." He looked at me, his eyes filled with tenderness. "What are you afraid of? Everyone in the palace now is one of our people." His brazenness annoyed me, but I had no intention of confronting him. Instead, I smiled and asked, "Have you grown tired of being regent prince and now wish to be this empress's male favorite?" At this, Chu Qing grew flustered. "Shin Rongshi, I only wanted to carry you to bed so you could sleep more comfortably." "Oh, so I misunderstood you." Chu Qing. Chu Qing set me down, his ears flushing crimson. Finally, he stammered out, "Eat more during the day." I'll leave now." After he departed, the hall fell silent once more. I massaged my temples and sighed deeply. Suddenly, I missed my elder sister dearly. I wondered where she'd gone after eloping and what amusing adventures she might be having. The peaceful days didn't last long. Barely half a year after the young emperor ascended the throne, war erupted at the frontier. The Turks marched north, capturing 3 of our kingdom's cities in quick succession. Now, we urgently needed a great general to steady the troops and lead reinforcements. My thoughts turned to Chu Qing. The former heir to the Marquis estate was both scholarly and martial, a rare talent among young men. When I shared this plan with him, he lowered his head and gave a self-mocking smile. "You still remember those grudges, don't you?" I didn't answer. Chu Qing's eyes instantly reddened. "Shin Rongshi, you truly are heartless. But have you considered? With the court situation still unstable, how could you, a widow and orphan, manage after I'm gone?" "Of course I've thought about it. With father in the court and Chu Qing outside, no one would dare touch us. What if I refuse to go? This is an imperial decree." Chu Qing suddenly laughed, but her laughter soon dissolved into tears. "Then this subject shall obey the decree." Chu Qing's departure marked the beginning of 2 long years. On the day the victorious report reached Xinjiang, snowflakes drifted through the air. Chu Qing led an army of 300,000 soldiers, engaging the Turks in dozens of battles. The Turks were notoriously fierce and warlike. After losing 5 cities in succession, Chu Qing finally found a breakthrough. He led an elite force to encircle the enemy from the rear, ultimately slaying their leader. Our army's morale soared. Seizing the momentum, we routed the enemy, scattering them in all directions. Regrettably, Chu Qing himself was gravely wounded in this assault and passed away 3 months ago. This battle demonstrated our dynasty's might to the world, deterring any further invasions. Thus, the realm was finally pacified. When the emperor was 11, I journeyed south in an exquisite carriage, leaving the palace behind. Jiangnan was a place everyone yearned to visit. The breeze here was gentle, with blue-tiled roofs and white walls. Small bridges over flowing streams, every corner exuded elegance. Among the shops was a pastry house named Nianxi, where a long queue had formed early at the entrance. Peering out from the carriage, I saw January running back cheerfully. "Second, young miss. It's done." Guided by the shop assistant, I finally met my elder sister after so many years. But before I could speak, tears blurred my vision. I embraced her and wept openly. She patted my back, gently, again and again. "If my information is correct," she murmured, "you're already the empress dowager. If word gets out, people will laugh at us." I sniffed back tears and retorted, "Humph. I couldn't care less." Only after crying my fill did I pull her close and say, "Sister, I've missed you so terribly. So many matters kept me tied up before. Now that the young one can handle court affairs on his own, and with father here, I could finally come see you. You haven't changed a bit, you've only grown more beautiful. By the way, have you found a husband yet, sister?" My elder sister looked at me with a gentle smile. "No. And I don't want to. I've earned a lot of silver now and even bought a mansion. I won't have to worry for the rest of my life. I certainly don't want someone to come along and spend my silver." I tugged her arm and shook it, asking, "Then will you let Rongxi spend your silver?" My eldest sister replied with an indulgent expression, "Of course. We're family. After all. Yes. We are the closest family in this world." Every year since then, I've stayed with my eldest sister for a while. In my past life, she was heading to the cloth shop in the west of the city. But I suddenly craved something sweet and insisted she buy me the most famous chestnut cake from the pastry shop in the south. She told me all sorts of amusing tales from the common folk, while I shared the intrigues and power struggles within the imperial court. We never tired of these exchanges. Each time we parted, we were already counting the days until our next meeting. Later, father and mother passed away one after the other. After my elder sister returned to help me handle their funeral arrangements, she declared she would never return to Xinjiang. As I grew older, I simply wrote a letter to the emperor, informing him I would not return, choosing instead to retire in Jiangnan. Because of this, my brother and sister made a special trip to Jiangnan. They claimed it was to invite me back. But in truth, they wanted to see for themselves what charm this place held that made me linger so. After that visit, they never again mentioned my return. Instead, they came to stay for short periods each sweltering summer. In our courtyard grew a western crabapple tree. When its blossoms bloomed, I loved sitting beneath it. That day, leaning back in my chair, I felt my eyelids growing heavier and heavier. The wind scattered the fallen crabapple blossoms across the ground. Amidst a faint, delicate fragrance, I slowly closed my eyes. "Sister, in this life, Rongxi must depart first." The end.